there, Star Wars collectors, and welcome to another Bosk's Bounty video. And in this video, I'm going to be reviewing the Star Wars The Vintage Collection Cobb Vanth from the Book of Boba Fett. Now, as the card back says, this is his look from the Book of Boba Fett, so he no longer has Boba Fett's Mandalorian armor. This is his, like, sheriff outfit, essentially. I think he even became mayor of Freetown, which was formerly Mos Pelgos, I think it was. So this is basically the outfit where he confronts Cad Bane and also has a bit of a run-in with some pikes as well. So pretty cool character. And I think when we originally got this guy, the Mandalorian or Boba Fett armor version of Cobb Vanth from The Mandalorian, I think it's pretty obvious that we would then get the Cobb Vanth from the Book of Boba Fett. Essentially, there's a lot of reuse going on here, and we will compare the two, and we'll, you know, tell you all about the reuse, all that kind of thing. But I still think it's pretty cool that we're actually getting this version of Cobb Vanth, and I think it's needed for the line, basically. So, Book of Boba Fett, Cobb Vanth. If you haven't enjoyed the video, hit the like button down below, subscribe if you're new, and let's take a look at that card back. Alright then, so there is the card back for Cobb Vanth, and I think that image is roughly around the time when he did confront Cad Bane. I think that might be him looking out into the distance, and, you know, Cad Bane's entrance was pretty decent in the show. Overall, the Book of Boba Fett was alright. There were some good bits and some bad bits, but I feel that this episode with Cobb Vanth and Cad Bane, and I think it was the same episode as well that had Luke Skywalker in it quite a lot, that was a really good episode in my opinion. And there he is in the bubble. You can see that it is pretty much the same figure but without the Boba Fett's armor, and we're going to be checking out what they've done to this one to make that so. On the back of the card, VC371 in the line. There's an image once again of the figure and the card back, Vintage Collection logo. And with all that being said, let's open it up and check out the figure. Alright then, so here is Cobb Vanth out of the packaging, and straight away I've got him standing next to the Mandalorian version in the Boba Fett armor, just so we can kind of see, you know, what essentially is exactly the same and what they've changed to make this version possible. Or was it to make this version possible? Which one actually came first might be different to when they were actually released. So if we just take the legs, for example, the legs to me look exactly the same. Everything from the waist down looks exactly the same. Even the belt and the holster. You even get the blaster, of course. Now, the larger blaster, I'm not too sure if I remember him using that when he was in the Book of Boba Fett. Definitely he used the pistol, of course, up against Cad Bane. But they've included it anyway. Maybe he did use it and I can't remember. But obviously he used it when he was in his Boba Fett armor. This little piece here on the right leg of the Mandalorian version is removable, so that really didn't affect any sort of tooling or sculpting work for the legs whatsoever. Now, we do know that the armor is removable from this figure as well, which we will do in a second, just so we can check there. But this neck scarf here is a completely separate piece. It's hanging around his neck, as is that piece there. It's just a different neck scarf, basically. And then obviously the main part is that they've had to replace the lower arms, his forearms basically, because he doesn't have those gauntlets there, which he does on the Mandalorian version. So they've had to do that. Looks like the hands are the same, so it's literally just those lower arms. And also, if we just grab this guy and take the jetpack off the figure, then we are left with a hole, but the hole does also go right back into the back of the figure there. So what have they done with this guy? You would hope that it's not there, and it isn't, is it? So I'm just trying to see if there's any remnants of it at all. There's not. So that would have had to be a slightly different sculpt as well. But there's the new version from the Book of Boba Fett, looking pretty cool. I'm just going to take off the armor completely off the Mandalorian one so we can just have them side by side. Yeah, so looking at the two figures here, essentially they are the same sculpt. They would have had to have cut out that little half moon there for the jetpack on the Mandalorian version. But essentially the rest of that body is exactly the same. As I mentioned, there's those lower arms, but the upper arms are exactly the same. Lower arms on this one, annoyingly, you couldn't really take those wires out, so you couldn't really create this figure out of this one. It was impossible to do, really, without sort of cutting pieces off and replacing his lower arms. But there we go. We didn't need to now because we've got the Book of Boba Fett version, and he is looking pretty cool. I do like this look for Cobb Vanth, and of course it's going to go very nicely with our Cad Bane, which is a brilliant figure to have in the line. As I mentioned, exactly the same accessories. Here's his little side blaster, exactly the same as the one that comes with the Mandalorian figure. Now, unfortunately, I display my Cobb Vanth from the Mandalorian with the helmet on, as you probably would. So the head for that figure is actually packed away, so I can't do a comparison, but I am pretty sure they are pretty much identical. Maybe a different factory has ever so slightly different colorings or paint or whatever for the hair and the beard, but in my mind that looks exactly the same. And then we've got this different net scarf, which is just a separate piece that just hangs around his neck quite loosely on this figure, but it does sit there quite nicely when it's hanging down like that. Pretty cool looking figure. So the articulation, I mean, it's the same as the other figure, isn't it? So we've got the barbell head joint, we've got really good shoulders, they're going to go all the way round. Elbows go a little past 90. We've got hinges at the wrists. We have that lower torso movement there. Barbell hips, split at the thigh. Knee joints are pretty good, just go a little above 90, and then rocker ankles as well. So all in all, you know, pretty cool figure, but you know, it does feel like we've had it before basically. And there you go. What better way to end with the showdown scene from the Book of Boba Fett with Cobb Vanth and Cad Bane. Awesome character, Cad Bane. Great to see him in live action, and I really do enjoy this figure. It's a great figure. And now we have the one that we needed to go with it, basically. So what else do we need? We need some Pike Syndicate soldiers, probably. And not too much else from Book of Boba Fett, really, in my opinion. I think we've got sort of the main core characters, the ones that I want anyway. But let me know in the comment section below if there's any other characters that you would like to see from the Book of Boba Fett. But thank you so much for watching this review. That is the review of Cobb Vanth in his Sheriff of Freetown outfit from the Book of Boba Fett. Thanks to my Patreon supporters and channel members as always for supporting me in the way that you do. I really do appreciate it. And also thanks for watching, everybody, and we shall see you on the next one.